Today is the 40th anniversary of the signing of the Mizo Accord, one of the most successful insurgency settlements that independent India has seen. Mizoram, a small picturesque state in northeast India, is today one of the most peaceful states of India. Soon after the sun set on 30th June, 40 years ago, there was a flurry of activity in the corridors of power in New Delhi. It was then Union Home Secretary R.D. Pradhan's last day in office. As he was winding up, he had a guest. Laldenga, who headed the Mizo National Front, an insurgent group that was then seeking secession of the territory of Mizoram from India and was involved in long drawn peace talks with the center, came calling in the afternoon. He expressed willingness to sign the peace accord but sought some time to discuss the final contours of the agreement with his colleagues. Time was running out as Pradhan's term as Home Secretary was due to end at 6:30 p.m. The significance of signing the peace accord before he demitted office was not lost on both. A new Home Secretary would have meant starting the process all over again. Pradhan had been picked by the then Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi in 1985 to negotiate the peace accord with Laldenga. The signing of the accord would have been a fitting end to his over 3 decade long bureaucratic career and a perfect parting gift for the then PM. Soon after Laldenga left to consult his colleagues, Pradhan informed the PM about the developments. Quick to realize the gravity of the situation, Gandhi gave orders to extend Pradhan's tenure till midnight. Shortly after 8:30 p.m. on 30th June 1986, the memorandum of settlement was signed between Pradhan, who represented the centre, Lal Khama, then Chief Secretary of Mizoram, and Lal Denga, bringing closure to over 2 decades of insurgency and violence in the northeastern state. As part of the peace accord, the Mizo National Front agreed to immediate cessation of violence and abide by the rules of the constitution. On its part, the centre agreed to grant statehood to Mizoram, which was till then a union territory. Mizoram became the 23rd state of India with a 40-member legislative assembly on 20th February 1987. So, what went into the making of the Mizo Peace Accord? Hello and welcome to The Print. I am Maushumi Gupta, and today I will go back in time and tell you how the then PM Rajiv Gandhi, Mizo National Front Chief Laldenga, and political give and take by both sides ended the 2 decade insurgency. In a telephonic interview this Sunday, Zoramthanga, former 3 term Chief Minister of Mizoram, told The Print that it was not easy. Making peace involved a lot of give and take. It is probably the first such peace agreement that saw a sitting CM willingly give up his chair. The centre did not just grant full statehood to Mizoram. The signing of the peace accord was followed by the sitting CM, Congress's Lal Thanhawla, voluntarily resigning to allow Laldenga to head an interim government. Under the political agreement reached before the signing of the peace accord, Thanhawla then became deputy CM in the coalition government until elections were held on 16 February 1987. The Mizo National Front won 24 seats and formed a full-fledged government. Lal Thanhawla told The Print that he did not regret leaving the CM's chair. He said, and I quote, "If I had not stepped down, there would have been no peace at all in Mizoram. It was my wish that Mizo people should have maximum peace. Insurgency, regular curfews, and unrest had disturbed Mizoram for 20 long years. The Mizo insurgency had reared its head in the early 1960s. Back then, Mizo Hill was one of the districts of Assam. In a June 2016 paper published by Delhi-based think tank Vivekananda International Foundation, retired Brigadier Sushil Kumar Sharma writes, "A perceived sense of loss of identity to their Assamese domination together with discrimination in various fields, contributed to the Mizo alienation. Sharma, who served in various command roles in the Northeast, goes on to say that what finally lit the flame of insurgency was an acute famine that hit the Mizo Hills in 1959 and the perceived neglect of the government to the people's plight. Called Mautam, the famine set the stage for an armed insurrection. He says, Laldenga, then a Havildar in the Indian Army, formed the Mizo National Famine Front, a famine relief group to help the people. MNFF was renamed the Mizo National Front in 1961 and started an armed rebellion against India. 1966 was perhaps the worst phase of Mizo insurgency. On the intervening night of 28 February 1966, MNF launched Operation Jericho, as part of which MNF attacked government installations, including the treasury at Aizawl, and overran security outposts in the towns of Lunglei and Champai. 5 Assam Rifles personnel were killed in Aizawl. A day later, on 1st March, Laldenga declared independence from India to form what he called Greater Mizoram. The Indira Gandhi led Congress government at the center, which had come to power just 6 weeks back following the death of then Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri in Tashkent, did not stay silent. On 5th March, Gandhi ordered the Indian Air Force to bomb Aizawl and surrounding areas to quell the Mizo insurgency. It was the first and only time that IAF carried out bombing within Indian civilian territory. The bombings forced the cadres of Mizo National Army, the armed wing of NMF, to flee to the jungles of Myanmar and East Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh. Soon after, to curb free movement of insurgents and cut their free access to villages, the center decided to group scattered hamlets in Mizo Hills and consolidate them into clusters near military installations. The grouping led to relocation of thousands of villagers from the hills, causing widespread anger. The grouping policy gave a fresh lease to the insurgent movement. Zoramthanga, who led the MNF after Laldenga's death in 1990, said that those were difficult times. The long years of fighting had left the people disillusioned, and slowly the demand for peace started gaining ground. He told me in a telephonic interview on Sunday, and I quote, After 20 years of fighting, the people of Mizoram, the church leaders, NGOs, political leaders, and student unions said that we know you can fight for quite a long time, but for the people for whom you are fighting, it's becoming a big burden. Unquote. It was the push from the people who wanted the MNF to make peace with the government that led to the start of peace negotiations in March 1971. The 1971 Bangladesh Liberation War, however, put a spanner in the works. Both sides had to pick up the thread and start the peace negotiations again. On January 21, 1972, following ongoing talks with the center, Mizoram, which was till then a district of Assam, was made a union territory. It was in 1976 again, following secret peace talks, that Zoramthanga, along with Laldenga, attended the Calcutta Convention along with all the representatives. There, the NMF leaders resolved to accept the settlement within the Constitution of India. From there, they started working on the formalities and details and continued with the peace talks for another 10 years, till 1986. It was finally on 30th June 1986 that the peace accord was signed. Security analysts say that one of the main reasons why the Mizoram Accord survived while many other peace efforts have struggled was because the Mizo insurgency was far less complex than, say, neighboring Nagaland's. Ajay Sahni, founding member and executive director of the Institute for Conflict Management, told ThePrint that Mizoram largely involved a single community and one major insurgent group, unlike Nagaland, which has multiple tribes and several armed groups. That, he said, made Mizoram considerably less complex to handle. Asked whether the Mizoram model could be replicated in Nagaland, where the peace process has remained unresolved for years, Sani said it was not possible. Nagaland, he said, has too many groups, competing interests, conflicting opinions, and multiple pulls and pressures. All counter-insurgency settlements are a combination of the use of force, negotiations, and softer measures to bring people back into the mainstream. Speaking to the print, former Home Secretary G.K. Pillai said that one important thing that led to the success of the Mizoram Peace Accord was that the government did not concede early. It was a tough negotiation, and only then was statehood given, Pillai said, adding that keeping the lines of communication open through the process was critical. Former CM Thanhawla said the peace accord has been quite good and useful for the Mizo people. He said, and I quote, "We lost 20 years of development activities. This should be considered, and the government should make good for the lost times so that Mizos and Mizoram can be on a par with the rest of the country." Unquote. That's all for now. Keep watching the Print's YouTube channel to stay abreast with the latest news developments.